So have you ever wondered if Biden's proposed tax increases will hurt the economy? Well, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says you actually shouldn't be asking yourself that. She says, quote, asking will these tax increases hurt the economy is not the right question. The right question is trading higher taxes on high-income taxpayers for middle-class tax cuts and major economic investments pro-growth. And the answer to that question is a resounding yes. Let's bring in our panel to talk about this. Rebecca Walser, President and CEO of Walser Management, and Jim Urio, Managing Director of TJM Institutional Services. Good to see you both. Rebecca, it sounds like what Secretary Yellen is saying is that a strong economy is not as important as income distribution. Is that how you heard it?
That is exactly what I hear, David. And, they say that, that's not the right question to be asking. But there was a recent business roundtable where 98% of CEOs said that an increase to 28% would make them less competitive. 75% of CEOs said that it would have definitely make them pull back on R&D. And 71% of CEOs said it would definitely affect their hiring. So she might want to create subterfuge here and say, oh, look at this over here. This is better. And let's not talk about that. But it will have an impact, especially coming out of this global pandemic. And
when your focus, Jim, is on income distribution, I mean, that's when things don't add up. When you're actually the end goal is to have a strong economy for everyone. That's what really works. The key is trying to just move everything around from inside the Beltway. We've had enough experience to show us that doesn't work.
No doubt. And by the way, if their goal is income distribution, this is going to fail at that, too. It's going to fail completely, and it's going to end up making the rich richer. But as far as the corporate tax rate goes, let's throw out for a second that the Congressional Budget Office said 70% of corporate tax increases that will be paid by the actual labor. The Tax Foundation said 159,000 jobs will be lost, and average wages will go down by 0.7%. Let's forget that for a second. If they didn't know it was trash policy, there'd be no reason for them to start lobbying the rest of the world to join them in their non-competitive tax policies. Point. That's, to me, just hearing that means they know full well it's bad.
And Rebecca, there's another point that has to be mentioned here on Larry Kudlow's show because he's a proponent of supply-side economics. And the fact is we had some proof. It was only 4 years of the Trump administration, but during that time we had a tax cut, a dramatic tax cut. And what happened? The top 1% that the president of all his left-wing allies are always screaming about actually paid more in total income taxes than they were before. Before the tax cuts, they were paying 38%. After the tax cuts in fiscal year 2018, which includes a bit of 2019, 40%, 40.1% of all income taxes were paid by the top 1%. So as the rate came down a little bit, they actually got more invested in economic activity and investments that they had to pay more taxes on.
That's exactly right, David. That President Trump's tax cut led to the largest tax collection in the history of the United States. And that doesn't even include the repatriation of dollars from MNCs that brought back over to the U.S. because of the cut to the 21% level. So, and obviously the repatriation was even favorable than that. So absolutely, can you increase taxes by cutting them? You can, because you get less tax avoidance and less structures and tax arbitrage. And this is exactly why Secretary Yellen is talking to the rest of the world, because she knows that they need the whole rest of the world to participate. One country offers a lower tax and we still have tax arbitrage as a possibility.
I want her and the rest of the Biden administration to talk to us, to talk to the taxpayers, because we're the ones that are poor. We pay their salaries, for God's sakes. And today we had President Biden talking about taking away some of the money that we want to will to our children and our grandchildren through stocks. 41, it was just a new study came out showing that American families now have 41% of their wealth in stocks. That's household average. So they're very sensitive about what happens to stock. And a lot of people will spend 20 years just keeping their money in stocks so that they can pass it on to their children and grandchildren, Jim. And now we hear that they're going to get away with this stepped up basis. Now, what that happens, if you haven't inherited stocks, you don't know this. President Biden wants to tax the capital gains that you inherited from your parents. So that would essentially mean that you'd have to pay an extra 40% of taxes on the money that you inherited from your parents. They don't want that. That's not why people put away every penny they have to pass on to their kids.
At some point in time, we just have to realize that they want all of it. And I believe that. This money's already been taxed over and over again.
Yeah.
I don't see how anyone could make
quadruple taxation.
Quadruple taxation, and it doesn't matter to them. They'll go for quintuple, if that's the word, taxation, too. The fact that 41% of households now have stocks, which is unusually high, too, is not completely a great thing, in my opinion, too. But the fact that the Fed has taken away all the safe rate everywhere is forcing people to creep into stocks. I know this is a little bit of a different topic, but this is part of the bubble creation, the bubble bust thing that's been going on for the last 30 years.
But Rebecca, with so many Americans now invested in the stock market, do you think Biden will be able to pass this thing, to be able to take away one of the few benefits that the average person has? And I mean, yes, you may have $1 million worth of stock, but you only put $50,000 into your nest egg to grow it to $1 million. So it could be affected by this plan, this brilliant plan that President Biden has.
You're looking at, David, the elimination of the step up at death. And I can tell you, because we do a lot of advanced planning with people that have legacies, this is one of the largest tax changes that we've had in our country in a long, long time. So many people rely on passing their real estate stepped up at death, passing their stock portfolio stepped up at death. This is a huge, huge tax revenue earner. And Biden was going to combine that with also cutting the estate tax. Thank God he said, well, I can't charge the tax and also cut the estate tax at the same time. But that will just be another year down the road.
Well,
Trust me,
if you
we'll come back and we will have everything taxed.
I guarantee if you get rid of the or try to get rid of the stepped up basis, which is the fancy term for what we're talking about here, that President Biden announced he wants to do, you're going to have a Tea Party that'll make the 2010 Tea Party look like kindergarten, because it is affecting a lot of Americans. We got to leave it at that. Jim and Rebecca, great to see you both. You're a good tag team. Thank you very much.